You can read electrocardiograms where you measure the electrical current in your heart. You can measure electroencephalograms, measuring electrical current in the brain. But there are also magnetoencephalograms, or things which measure the magnetic currents coming out of your heart, and also the magnetic waves coming out of your brain. And so if you do it properly, when you measure the electricity coming out of your brain, you can sort of have an idea of what people are thinking. But the same type of readings can be made with the magnetic signals coming out of your brain or heart, meaning that coming out of our body, the things that we think of as our consciousness actually don't just stay inside our body, they go beyond our body. And within our body also, there is electrical impulses going between our blood and our cells. And we know the cells have a nucleus which is acidic. It's got deoxyribonucleic acid in it for a start. And the cytoplasm is usually more alkaline. The pH of the nucleus is about 5 usually, and the pH of the cytoplasm is about 8. And because there's a potential difference between these two chambers, it's a little bit like the chambers of a battery in a car, for example. One chamber acidic, one chamber alkaline. So what happens is you get a transfer of protons, which are positively charged, one direction, and then electrons get sent the other direction. And when you have electron flow, that's electricity. So the life force of each cell is an electrical thing, and wherever there's electrical things, you also have magnetic things, and you have electromagnetic discharge. So it's possible that we should be able to feel electromagnetic waves coming out of our body. And there are people who are very sensitive to this, and people do it in things like reiki, healing. You can also do it in things like acupuncture or massage. And a good acupuncturist won't just stick a needle into someone. They'll actually put energy into the needle and direct it in the right place, in the right way. So how do we substantiate the existence of this energy, and how do we harness it? Well, back in the 1990s, myself and my business partner Bianca Matchless wrote a book called The Applied Anatomy and Physiology of Yoga, which you can get a copy of if you go to yogasynergy.com. And in that book, we discussed the possibility of having 9 main bandhas inside the body. The word bandha is used in the world of yoga, and they talk about 3 main bandhas. They call them Jalandhara bandha, Uddiyana bandha, and Mula bandha. And a bandha is a subset of a mudra. A mudra is a type of energy control. And that energy control idea is the third part of Hatha Yoga. Hatha Yoga is the right side of Tantric Yoga or Tantra. The left side is full sex and drugs and rock and roll, but the right side is an accessible way of experiencing the world, supposedly, and it's called Hatha Yoga. And unlike the Ashtanga Yoga that you hear about a lot, which is 8 stages, including Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, the Saptanga Yoga of Hatha Yoga, 7 stages, has as its first stage Kriya, which I've talked about elsewhere, cleansing exercises, they sometimes say, but actually it's the first stage of Hatha Yoga and should be incorporated in all the practice. Second stage is asana, or physical control. Third stage is mudra, energy control. Then there's pranayama, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. Now this energy control mudra has as one of its devices a thing called bandha. But bandha often is associated with core stability. But the real deal, and I'm speaking as a physiotherapist here, is not to lock your core, but rather to move from the core. And the core is this region between the navel and the pubic bone, and within that, inside, there is the enteric nervous system, this large plexus of nerves, which is our gut brain, if you like. It's got around it the digestive system, immune system, reproductive system, all wrapped around that area. And although there are muscles in the core, which everyone knows, your six-pack rectus abdominis and your transverse abdominis, these muscles that we can roll, there's also two other important muscles, the psoas muscle at the front of the hip and the diaphragm, the top and bottom of the core. And when you understand how to use these, then you can create bandha. And the bandha we're talking about in the lower part of the core is mula bandha. But it can be expressed in two ways. You can either tighten the abdomen by contracting it inwards, or you can tighten it by pushing it outwards. The same is true of your perineum. When you tighten the abdomen by pulling it inwards, it actually retards blood flow and it locks the ability to move blood from your trunk to your legs. Hence, bandha is sometimes called a lock. But a lock always has two positions, the locked position and the unlocked position. So one type of bandha, and I'll show you on my abdomen here, if I relax my abdomen, and there's a relaxed baby belly, looks like a Buddha belly, but Buddha wasn't fat, he was relaxed, then when I tighten my abdomen, I can do it in two ways. I can pull my navel toward my spine in a way where the abdomen hardens and pulls away from my fingers. And I use exhalation muscles to do that. Or I can use postural muscles like this. And you see the navel pulls away from the spine. But it pulls away in a different way. So if I put my fingers in the abdomen and then draw my navel to the spine, using exhalation muscles, the abdomen seems to pull away from the fingers and hardens. When I do that, I restrict blood flow from the chest to the legs. But if I put my fingers in the abdomen is soft, and I lean back, and you can try that, the abdomen appears to push out against my fingers. But from the outside, that pushing out looks like pulling in. I have a video about this in detail on the Yoga Synergy YouTube channel. But the point is, there's two types of abdominal firming. One appears to pull the abdomen in, uses oblique muscles of the abdomen, and that will inhibit the diaphragm, prevent you from breathing in the abdomen, cause stress, and also lock the spine, and prevents blood flow from chest to abdomen. Another type of bandha, or core activation, is one which actually allows the abdomen to be able to be breathed into. It also allows blood flow to go from chest to the abdomen, and this is called an expansive bandha or a tar bandha. Bandhas are of two types: expansive, which allow you to breathe, and compressive, which don't allow you to breathe into the abdomen. Expansive allows blood flow to take place, and compressive disallows it. Now, this concept, which is essentially the activation of opposing muscles at the same time to create this, can be done in the neck to create Jalandhara bandha, in the chest to create Uddiyana bandha, but it can also be created in the shoulder, the elbow, and the wrists. And I'm going to talk about the bandhas of the wrist. When you bring your palm forward or backward, it tightens either the front or the back of the wrist. You can try it. If you bring your fingers forward or backward, flexion or extension, that tightens still the front of the wrist and back of wrist, because the muscles that bend the fingers are the same muscles that bend the wrist. They overlap. So if you want to tighten the muscles at the front and the back of the wrist, you can do two things. You can flex the fingers and extend the wrist. Flexing the fingers tightens front of wrist, extending the wrist tightens back of wrist. You have a closed fist. Feel it. It makes the wrist firm. But another way of making the wrist just as firm is to extend the fingers, pull the fingers back while flexing the wrist. So wrist flexion tightens front of wrist, finger extension tightens back of the wrist. And the back and front of the wrist firm makes a firm wrist. It's a banana hand makes firm wrist, or a fist makes firm wrist. The thing is, these are opposing in the nature in terms of blood flow. The closed fist will push the blood away from the wrist toward the elbow. Extended fingers will pull the blood away from the elbow toward the wrist. Now, I can give you a couple of exercises to show you how you can feel this. But For a long time, I could only feel it and I could only suggest it to people. Then, about 15 years ago, when Bianca and I were working at RMIT University, where we wrote a couple of courses for the Masters of Wellness degree, which are still available, and you can get them on our website, the Applied Anatomy and Physiology of Yoga and Yoga Fundamentals, which they're both actually, we're having them a special 30% discount for them to the end of January, if you're interested. These courses allowed us to do research at the university on blood flow. We had these amazing infrared cameras. And the infrared cameras allowed us to see where blood goes through the body. They were infrared video cameras. So, for example, on the infrared video cameras, I could do simple spinal movements like this, where I'm bending my spine sideways, and this side of my abdomen is firm and compressed, while the other side is lengthened and relaxed. And if I change sides, so this side is firm and compressed, and this other side is lengthened and relaxed, blood flow changes so much. Well, blood contains heat, right? So as I go compress this side, that temperature goes to 32 degrees, while the soft, lengthened, relaxed side becomes 37 degrees. And within 3 seconds, I can change. Lift one hip, lower one shoulder. This side firm becomes 32 degrees. The other side lengthened and relaxed becomes 37. And so if I do a simple exercise like the ones you see in Qigong, for example, where you're moving from twisting to side bending, and if you're noticing one side shortens, the other side lengthens, one side shortens, the other side lengthens. As I'm doing this, I'm shifting my blood flow, pushing it from right to left all the way through the body, and this really pumps blood. Effectively, this simple movement will turn your whole body into a heart, a pump, because you're pumping from one side to the other, and that means the little pump inside the chest, we call the cardiovascular pump the heart, that can work at a very low rate. So these simple exercises like this will pump blood through the body while you can stay in a very calm state. One of the most ideal things you can do for health is to have very low heart rate but very high blood flow. And when you do this, increased circulation, which I call good energy in the body, and a very low heart rate, which promotes a very calm nervous system dominant in the parasympathetic mode, this I'll call loving information. And when you can share good energy and loving information inside yourself, that gives you a very good feeling, a very good model for the body to work for immune health, digestive and reproductive health, and it gives you a good model to work with your life in the world. Share good energy and loving information. But promoting the blood flow means you're also promoting cells which move through the body and generate these electromagnetic fields. And you can feel this if you do it the right way. So this idea of bandha, we managed to actually show on the infrared camera. And so what you can do is, if you see this fist in an infrared video camera, you'll see that the temperature of the hand becomes about 26 degrees. But if you take the hand and you lengthen it like this, within 2 or 3 seconds, the infrared video camera shows the hand becomes about 32 degrees. And that change can take place within a couple of seconds. And I want you to feel this, so I'm just going to step back a little bit from the camera. And if you try this, you can just take your arms up in the air and just relax your hands. And if you relax the hands, what you'll feel is blood starts to flow down with gravity. Gravity is a powerful pump. It's more powerful than the heart. The heart can't reach up to the hands. But now if you let the hands rest by the side of the body, relaxed, you'll feel blood flow goes toward your hands because gravity goes down. So now if you can, and you can just mirror image me, I won't talk about left or right. If you take one hand up and one hand down, you'll feel the hand above will drain of blood very quickly. The hand below will fill with blood very quickly. And if you change hands, very quickly the hand above drains of blood and becomes lighter. The hand below becomes heavier because gravity is a powerful pump. But what can override gravity is bandha. And so if I lengthen the fingers. I said to you already, that will pull blood up to the hands. So let's try it. Take your hands up in the air and let the hands relax. Notice within 3 seconds, if you're relaxed, the hands will feel lighter, like they're draining of blood. But now if you lengthen the fingers, not too hard, you want to make sure the fingers are lengthened, but they could still move. Lengthened but relaxed. Then feel how, perhaps you can feel it, maybe not yet, feel how blood is coming back to the hands. But you won't usually notice it until once again you relax the hands. So relax the hands, and sure enough it takes 3 or 4 seconds and the blood drains from the hands. Try it again. Lengthen the fingers and see if there's a difference in feeling, but maybe you won't notice the difference in that feeling till again you relax the hands and then the blood drains away. We can do it another way. We can let the hands rest by the side of the body. When the hands rest by the side of the body relaxed, blood flows into the hands. But now if you keep the hands by the side of the body, make a closed fist, not a hard closed fist, only with as much tension as you had when you lengthened the fingers. So you make the closed fist with both hands by the side of the body. And what I said to you was on the infrared camera, we see this pushes the blood away from the hands. So see if you can feel the blood being pushed away from the hands, like squeezing a sponge. And you won't notice it really, though, until you let your hands relax again. And then usually within a few seconds, most people can feel the blood rushing back into the hand. So do it again. Make a closed fist. Feel the blood pushing away from your hands. And then relax the hands, feel the blood coming back. Okay, so that's one way you might feel how this pushes blood, this pulls blood. Closed fist pushes blood away from the hand. It's a compressive bandha or co-activation of the opposing muscles around the wrist joint complex. This is a lengthened, expanded bandha which pulls blood to the fingers because it's a co-activation of opposing muscles around the joint complex, same muscles working in a different way. So now if we do this, take one hand up, one hand down, relax both hands, and then do what we often do in many yoga classes, when you might have the hand on the floor, either grabbing a big toe or something like that, or grabbing the floor while the hand above is lengthened. Do that. So make the lower hand closed fist, upper hand lengthened fingers. And this will push the blood up from the lower hand and pull it up to the upper hand. We know the same muscle tension should be on both hands. So it's not about muscles. Now, notice what happens if you swap the hands. Make a fist with the hand above and open the hand below. So you're lengthening the fingers below, making a closed fist to the hand above, and this will almost straight away make you feel heavier because the blood is being pushed down along with gravity from the top hand and pulled down along with gravity to the lower hand. It makes you feel heavier almost straight away. Now, really muscular people who are really tense often don't feel this. Females tend to feel it more than males do. They tend to be a little bit less hard in their bodies. See if you can feel the difference. Closed fist below, lengthened fingers above, and does that lightness come back? Most people can feel this. Okay, so then release and change sides. So bring one hand up, one hand down. Notice with just relaxed hands, gravity will drop the blood from the hand above into the hand below. It goes around the body, of course. Now make a closed fist below, lengthen the fingers above, and the effect of this co-activation of opposing muscles around the wrist joint complex will mean that the hand below, that's pushing blood away from it, the hand above pulls the blood toward it. So this opposes the effect of gravity. But you can quickly change this if you make a closed fist above, lengthened fingers below, and almost instantly you feel heavier. See if you feel this. Then feel again, change, closed fist below, lengthen fingers above, and many people can feel this within 2 or 3 seconds. I can demonstrate it on an infrared camera. One more, closed fist above, lengthen fingers below, and then a heavy feeling comes. closed fist below, lengthen fingers above, a light feeling comes. Come back down. So hopefully you're feeling the effect of this closed fist pushing blood away, lengthen fingers pulling blood towards. You can understand and make this happen at each of the 9 main joint complexes: ankles, knees, hips, waist, chest, neck, shoulders, elbows, wrists. It's possible to have at each of these 9 main joint complexes 2 opposing types of lock, or in yoga we call it bandha. In physiotherapy we call it co-activation of opposing muscles around a joint complex. Here's another example. This is very useful if you're a type of person who gets very hot. So if you get hot, it's good to cool down. If you're cold, it's good to heat up. So this is about thermoregulation. Try if you can to bring the arms out to the side. I'll just step back a little bit so you can see. When my arms are out to the side, here my fingers are lengthened. And when the fingers are lengthened, I'm not relaxing them, I'm lengthening them. That's going to pull blood from the center of my body into my fingers. And that blood contains heat. So the more I lengthen my fingers, the more I get a feeling of that there's less blood in my core. And so I feel cooler. We sense heat around this part of our body. So as you're pulling the fingers apart, you'll feel cooler in the chest region. You sense the body to be cooler. But now make a closed fist. And as the closed fist comes on, that pushes the blood from the hands back into the chest. So you get more blood in the chest, which contains heat. And so you feel a little bit warmer perhaps. Try it a couple of times with me and see if you notice a change in the perception of your body temperature at the core. So lengthen the fingers, and it might feel you're getting a bit cooler in your chest, like the room just got a bit cooler. Now make a closed fist and see if you notice the body getting a little bit warmer, like the room got stuffy. Then again, open the fingers and see if it feels like a cold breeze came in the room. And then close fist, and do you get warmer? Release the arms. Many people can feel this. Like I said, there are some people who, if you tend to overthink, overtense, overstretch, overbreathe, you will kill this energy. You won't feel it very easily. Now, let's just consider then that we've got a definite feeling, which, like I said, I can show you this on infrared camera analysis, but you can feel it in the things that I've shown you just then. Most people can. But if you imagine for a moment that when we make a closed fist, we're pushing blood away from the hand, and when you make lengthened fingers, you're pulling blood to the hand, you ask for a moment. In Indian yoga, they talk about prana as a type of energy that's carried within the blood. In Chinese philosophy, in Qigong, we talk about qi. In Japan, they talk about ki. It's the same energy, different name. So while the blood will travel to the hand with an open fingers, and the blood goes away from the hand with a closed fist, what does the energy do? Well, if you extend the fingers, blood comes toward the hand, but the energy can keep coming past the hand because energy extends outside the body. And you can detect that by doing magnetic analysis of the heart or the brain and read people's brain waves. The same way they read electrical waves to get an idea of people's thoughts. That's becoming more accessible. You can do it with magnetism as well. Very subtle magnets. But so in other words, what I'm suggesting is when you lengthen your fingers, the blood will go to the fingers, but the energy goes beyond the fingers. That sense of pushing energy away from the hands. Now, when you make a closed fist, we know that the energy comes from the fist back toward the body. But where does that energy come from? The blood will go from the fist to the elbow and further. But where does that energy in the blood come from? Maybe it comes from outside the body. So let's consider, when you're doing movements in, say, Qigong or something like this, it's often said that the hand that opens will push energy and the hand that closes pulls energy. I'd like you to feel this for a moment. So what I'd like you to do is see what happens when you make the elbows move. And when you make the elbows move, there's a choice. You can either make them move in a linear way or a fluid way. So if you make the elbows move linearly, try this. Have your hands in front, bend the elbows, straighten the elbows. Bend and straighten a few times. Notice it's a useful musculoskeletal exercise, but doesn't necessarily give you energy. But now if you bend the elbows and move the other elbow movement to palms down, pronation, and palm up, supination. Palm down, palm up, palm down, palm up. And you find that this, again, it's musculoskeletal. It's a useful exercise if you've got an elbow problem, but it doesn't give you energy. Going back and forth, changing direction back and forth, does not build energy. Energy travels in circles. Energy travels in curves. If you go with a car forward and backward, it used accelerator, brake, and it actually jars your body. If you go in the car forward and backward, it wastes energy. It uses accelerator, brake, wasting energy and jarring the body. But if you go in a circle, then you go to the same 4 points of left, right, forward, backward, but it builds energy, like on a merry-go-round. The centripetal and centrifugal forces will actually start to build. So the same with your body, and the body has joints which always move in circles. So let's try moving our joint, the elbow joint, with its two main movements simultaneously. Start with your elbows bent, so your elbows straight rather, and the palm facing up. Bend the elbow, and then turn the palm down and straighten the elbow. Palm up, bend elbow, palm down, straighten elbow, and notice this simple exercise now feels different. For many people, compared to before, it almost feels like you're pushing energy out of the hands. And when the palm is leading, it has that same shape of the bandha that I was talking about, this expansive co-activation of the muscles around the wrist joint complex, which pulls blood into the wrist. But if the blood contains energy and the more blood comes to the wrist, the energy comes to the wrist and it may leave the wrist. Hence, you feel like you're pushing energy out of the hands. But now what happens if we go stop, bring the back of the hand down, turn the palm, bring back of hand up. And back of hand goes down, back of hand goes up, still a fluid motion, but now it feels like you're almost pulling energy into the hand. And if you notice, as the hand moves through space in this way, it tends to curl almost like you're making a closed fist. So as you come up with this feeling of the back of the hand leading, it's almost like you're making a closed fist, and we know the closed fist is what pulls blood away from the wrist. But what's in the blood? Energy. So maybe the energy comes into the wrist as you go up and down, up and down. I find this interesting because when you work with it, you can get a really strong feeling of energy. So I'd like you to feel this for a moment. If you would take the hands together, bring the hands forward, then go outward. Then bring the hands downwards. Then the hands inwards. Take your hands forward, see if you can feel the heat between the hands. Now go outwards and lead with the back of the hands. Then come downwards and lead with the palm. Then come inwards, leading with the palm. Then go forward. Move the fingers as you're forward. Relax the shoulders as you go outward. As you go downwards, relax the neck. And as you come inwards, relax the pelvic floor and your face. Do it a few times with me. Forward, move the fingers. Outward, relax the shoulders. Keep the hands facing each other. Downward, relax the neck. Inward, gently relax your face. Now pause briefly and see if you feel greater heat in the hands. Because what we did just then actually helped move energy through the body by unblocking key blockage points in the body, which tend to be called bridges between the conscious and the unconscious. Move one hand up and one hand down and see if you more easily notice this heat between the hands reflecting blood, but also maybe an energy between the hands like a magnetic field. Then do it again. Go forward, outward, and then downward, and then inward. Relax your pelvic floor. Forward, check the fingers can move. Outward, check the shoulders can roll. Downward, check the neck is free. And inward. As you come inward, the hands are pushing energy out of each other. Does it feel like a thick magnet? Go forward. As your hands come outward, does it feel like a rubber band you're trying to pull apart because the two parts are pulling towards each other? Go downwards. Does it feel like there's energy coming out of your hands? Come inwards. Can you feel the two positive poles of a magnet almost repelling each other? Pause again and see if it's even stronger now. Are you feeling something? Maybe, maybe not. But here's an interesting thing to do. I want you to go onto the floor and do 10 push-ups. It doesn't have to be big push-ups. You don't have to do this if you want. But I want you to see how push-ups affect the energy flow in the hands. So if you need to, go onto your knees, then put the palms on the floor and grip with the fingers, squeeze the heel of the hand in, that protects your wrists. Bring the elbows over the wrist and then go down and up. And maybe do about 10. Now if you wish, of course, you can do full push-ups. Do what feels good. For many people, a simple kneeling push-up is enough to get the effect. Don't hurt your wrists. Breathe into the abdomen. And after doing about 10, stand up from your push-ups and bring the hands closer together. And when your hands come close together, just feel. Go one hand up, one hand down. Is there more energy or is there less? And most people find there is less. That to me is interesting. You see, energy is blocked by overtension, overstretching or bad posture, by overbreathing and overthinking. What we need to do in our practice to get that energy is constantly remind ourselves, tense less, stretch less, breathe less, think less, eat less. But then to get the energy to happen, what you want to do is to move actively from the core. Breathe naturally or breathe from the core and move fluidly. Then when you start to do this, the body naturally starts to adopt 11 other ways of moving blood through the body other than the heart. And I talk about this in many of the courses that I run. And so what we can do is we can just do a few minutes of movement like this. And what you want is when you're moving, we can move in different possibilities. So here's one movement pattern. You're leading with the palm of the hand. I won't go into all the details, and I'll take my jacket off so you can see my core. I know many Indian masters and Chinese masters will always talk about breathing, and they'll always talk about their core, the dantian in China, or the khanda in India, but they never show it to you. They wear these beautiful clothes. But I want you to see when I'm moving my abdomen. So eventually, if you can learn to use what we call the lower abdomen, it's the lower abdomen goes in. So what we're doing in this position is we're going to lead with the palm. So feel like you're always pushing your palm, as if you push your palm through water and it pushes water. Get that feeling. So you're leading with the palm. 4 movements. Go backward and up, forward and up, forward and down, and then down and in. Expand the lower back and the upper back. Expand the chest and the abdomen. Push the hips and shoulders forward, and then bring the palms and body to shorten at the front. Expand the back. Expand the front of the body. Push in the back and push in the front. Be as soft as you can. Continue this movement as best as you can, and it might feel like perhaps you're pushing energy out of the hands. And then, once you've done that for a while, go the other way. Lead from the back of the hand. Back expand, front expand, back push in, front push in. Leading from the back of the hand, and it's a different feeling. Leading from the back of the hand, and it's a different feeling. Then we have the possibility of combining. So what I'd like you to do is have the palms facing each other and just follow me from behind. So palm above, so you're doing a bit of a side bend. Then twist to one side, then lengthen the opposite side. Twist, Lengthen one side and twist to the opposite side. Lengthen one side and twist to the opposite side, then continue. So it's a little bit like you're moving a ball and you're carrying that invisible ball between your hands. I'm going to turn to face you, and what I want you to feel is it's not your hand that moves, it's your core. So if you can see my navel and my pubic bone, they're moving first. So my belly button moves the hands. And as my hands move, my belly button goes in the direction of the hands before the hands. And as the belly button goes one way, my pubic bone goes the other way. I'm moving from the core. But what I'm feeling, if you see what the hands are doing, is one hand is pushing, the other hand is pulling. So the hand below at the moment is pushing, hand above is pulling. I'm pulling up into the air, I'm pushing up into the air. And at one point, the hands switch their role. So now the top hand pulls, bottom hand pushes. And they swap. Top hand pulls, opposite hand pushes. And what I want to feel is that I'm feeling a current between my hands. Now at the moment, my hips are just going up and down. My core itself is not moving. There's the core, it's staying in the same spot in three-dimensional space. But the pubic bone and the navel, I'm holding with my thumb and first finger, they're moving back and forth. But I can also move my core, and if I move my core, then I bring my core to move over one leg or the other leg. But my head stays still. But if I wish, I can focus my eyes on the center point between the hands where the current is changing, and I can turn my whole body. And this particular activity gives a wonderful feeling of a current between the body. It's more complex than I'm just saying. But here's another one. Go suck up the energy into the hand and then push it back down. Go forward, lift up the arms, feel the energy sucking into the hand, and then push it down. So as you expand the lower back and the upper back on the way up, then expand the chest. And then come down and narrow the back and narrow the front. Come over your toes, expand the back and suck up. Expand the front. Come down on your heels, draw the lower abdomen in, push in the back, and then bring the chest and abdomen in, push in the front. Be soft. Tense less. Stretch less. Breathe less. Think less. Trust that the breath happens for you when you do this, because on the way up, the psoas, the front of the hip muscle, is lengthening and it attaches to your diaphragm. So on the way up, it's natural for you to feel the air come in. And on the way down, it's natural for you to feel the air go out. Keep the fingers lengthened, but check they're relaxed. Keep the shoulders relaxed. These are key blockage points. Keep the neck relaxed. Very importantly, relax the pelvic floor, almost like about to go to the toilet, but not. And feel, if you can, to master it, that on the way up, your anal mouth is expanding and opening. Sounds funny, I know. It's a little bit like sucking through a straw. You want the end of the straw open, not closed. Many people will teach tighten the pelvic floor, but actually the anus is different to the perineum, and what you want is to feel like you're sucking air through the anal mouth by breathing in through the nose. But for that, the anal mouth needs to be open. Sounds funny, I know. And then feel, if you can, the exercise we did before. Palms forward, outward, downward, inward. Go forward, move the fingers. Outward, relax the shoulders. Downward, relax the neck. Inward, soften the face, relax the pelvic floor. Again, forward, move the fingers. Outward, relax the neck. Downward, relax the shoulders. Inward, soften the pelvic floor. One more. Fingers. Shoulders. Neck. come back, fingers closed. See if you can feel the field of energy between the hands. Pause. Move one hand up and down. And is there again a sense of heat between the hands? Is there again a sense of maybe energy between the hands? Some feel it, some don't, many do. If you do reiki, you feel it. If you do qigong, you feel it. If you do good yoga, you feel it. It's like an aura, which you feel out of your hands, but it comes out of every part of your body. And some people have it stronger and feel it stronger. But the more tense you are, the less you feel it. Just finish this little practice by bending the knees and dropping the hips, lengthen the fingers. If you wish, bring the arms up higher, like hugging a tree. Lengthen and relax. You can stay here or you can bring the arms by the side. Check the fingers are lengthened, the shoulders relaxed, the neck relaxed. Drop the hips, relax the pelvic floor. Check your abdomen can breathe or roll. Then relax the face. Make space from the shoulders all the way to the fingers. Make space in the lower back and the upper back, the crown of the head. Then expand the belly, chest and throat. And allow the pelvic floor to remain open, going down, the abdomen and chest to remain open, coming up, and then let the inner eyes roll upwards if you can, without tensing the forehead, like when you're asleep. But then close the eyelid and relax the forehead. Eyes closed, and stay still, calm and quiet in body, breath and mind. You can even lie down now if you wish. You can stay as long as you like, or gently release by expanding the back of the body, then the front of the body. Lengthen and relax, and gently draw the lower abdomen in, push in the back, push in the front. Once again, expand the pelvic floor, lower back, upper back. Then expand the belly and the chest. Bend the knees and narrow the lower abdomen, lower back, upper back, chest and abdomen. And once more, expand the pelvic floor, lower back, upper back. Expand the belly and the chest. Draw the lower abdomen in, and then if you wish, together. Thank you very much.